Oh, shit. So folks at home aren't seeing the same thing I got. This is the last show. Well, we have this too. Oh, here it is. Okay. There you go. Morning, everybody. 20 cents for paradigms. And what's up next? We go. Okay, we're gonna fade out the music. Transition. Let's see. I got. No, I'm still here. No, I want that one, but I want that one. I gotta go there. Okay, here we go. Hey, got it. Sweet. Morning, everybody. Okay, so people at home aren't seeing the same thing. I got OBS Studio going for the first time, and I'm all characterized. I kind of dig it. Makes it simpler with the lighting. And so I'm recording this stream. I believe I have it set properly. I did a test run, and this should be able to run on the home channel, and I'll be doing that from here on out, I believe. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Show us how you enjoy torturing your plants. Yes. Cool. What else do I got here? So the OBS Studio, I wanted to do some other things, but some things I did figure out. Let's see, we're going to go to that. Uh-oh, what happened? Something happened with that. I'm going to try it and see what happens. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So instead of just looking at my ugly mug, you can see me all magic and watch the stars while I talk. And this is part of my year review. Is like I was sitting here and thinking about it. And it's like watching a tree grow. You don't see it growing. And where was I a year ago? Was I did not have the capacity with wherewithal technology to be able to do this in the house. And then learning and figuring out and moving through. I literally a year ago was thinking, hey, I want to really get into putting my artwork on t-shirts, and was looking at like kind of getting away from even doing any cannabis education or anything because it doesn't pay me a dime. And when I connected up with Peter later on in March or whatever it was, actually, I guess I'd done a show in late at the end of 2020, but we really started going hard in March or whatever. But and Dog, we started up with the Dog, and I started moving some seeds with him. I was ready to quit completely, and but at the same time, he's like, here, let's just start doing shows here. And I'm like, well, I kind of want to do shows on my own channel. And both ways around. And Dog Academy, I haven't gotten over there yet. I'm going to be starting to teach Sean through there as well. But I've had to take, time to myself and be able to figure this stuff out. And that's part of the entire process of learning and moving forward. And I got to say, like, I've moved forward on so many other levels this year. It's pretty freaking awesome. I hope you all have too. But again, you don't see the tree growing when it's growing. It's but you step back and look at it in a snapshot from a year before, and you see a whole different picture, right? So let's see. I wonder, can I do this? Oh, that's no. Let's leave that one like it is. So look, yeah, 2, 3, whatever. People are talking over here on the side. I have chat. I can read it while you guys are. There's certain things I can do here where I'm not gonna be able to see. Can I move the chat though? I can. So I'm gonna move chat out over here, and then move this just a little bit so I can work it. And then I wanted to try. So I tried doing some stuff. I want to do some photo albums, and I still haven't got this figured out yet, right? So I'm still learning. Let's look at this and see. for a second. I want to go good transition to that. You should all still be able to hear me, I think. And then, so you guys can't see this at all, but I got a little slideshow going. And unfortunately, it should have been like a full album of pictures, and it only seems to be showing 3 of them. Teaching them go through, and I find something where it's a roadblock or at least limiting factor, and I got to go watch 3 or 4 videos on YouTube usually to figure out, ask the help section, etc. This morning trying to figure out how to make a graphic. I had to go through accessing Instagram through Facebook through my new computer, right? And trying to get through all these password levels of like, what the hell is that password? But I had to. All of that was creating, just to create some graphics. But I figured I had to go in and read 3 different direction levels to get to where it's like, where is this? It was the pop-up blocker was missing somewhere. It was shut off on the new computer, right? So you got to keep on looking, and find your solutions. Here, let's go ahead and take away back to Milky Way instead. Transition. There we go. That's me again with the stars and the universe. And okay, so I was going to pick up with hash. We were talking about hash at the end of the last week, and the finer points that I didn't really hit. Really good bags. Okay, you want to make sure you have good bags. Like that was a huge limiting factor in me doing well with that production over years was having crappy bags. I probably was it the Duchess. I picked that one up from, right? And so cold temperatures, you want that 34 degrees if you can keep it there. I'm finding that it doesn't matter if it's dry or wet, if the stalks are just as bad of a corruption as any larf matter that you have left, right? So which way you can avoid that, and that's what I'm finding. That fresh frozen came out with some of the finest thing. That I'm going to explore that further, as well as fresh non-frozen washes. Okay. Let's see. OBS is kind of tricky, but you know what? Everything is. Right? Someone in chat saying OBS is tricky. I'm learning it, and I figure I'd figure the harder thing out before I go to the easier thing. That's kind of how I've always worked. And so I should be able to come back in now with Streamline and run Streamline on a page on and then have it on OBS and be able to bring guests in still, right? Have it all recorded and run it onto my other page. And still, the other thing I found out with OBS is I can stream stuff that I can't upload because of my data restrictions here. And granted, I'm dropping frames a little bit, 2.8% on the 60 frame rate, right? Which is fine when it comes down to, I think I should be able to upload music and graphics like these stars and things like that, or me reading from books or whatever it is for meditation channel that I was obstructed by, right? So it's all this stuff helped me solve the equation, and I'm looking like, oh, I'm about ready to really start pumping out the t-shirt art and be able to show and present. Peter wants me to put some stuff on Daga, and I have an Etsy page that I haven't worked with forever, but I'm going to start having print on demand and all sorts of categories of artwork on there, etc. But so I just noticed someone saying that there on the side. I gotta not pay attention to chat so I can stream thought proper. Because we were talking about medicine hash and how what I was about to say was how really proper hash just kind of mellows out the extremes of if you got really racy flour or really couch locky flour, it can tend to take those edges off. So I was locked out of Instagram for 3 weeks. It said my post was bully, and I don't know about landrace breeding being bully, but I got back on there and was answering a bunch of email or messages and message requests and stuff, and people who were contacting me, watching me here, asking questions about stuff. And in particular, one fellow was asking about how to make FICO, and it's full extract cannabis oil and very similar to Rick Simpson oil, but it's not activated. So you make it cool, slow, and cold. And like I have pretty rough and rudimentary old school techniques that I use for bulk, but for home use, and I don't even have, is it Levco or, but so there's the magic butter machine. And if somebody on chat can bring this one up, we have, gosh, I want to say maybe it was, I don't know if it was Brian Marco or if it was the Living Soil show, and they had the guest that he had all these contraptions he was making. One of them was a new machine that you could set, and it'll extract or infuse, right? And so it's just like a kitchen tool basically, and you can infuse oils with it and whatnot. And that, I think that might be one of the best tools available for home medicinal purposes. And this, like, and you know, depending on everybody, you want to titrate up, unless it's a life or death thing and extreme pain or whatever. But you start small and go big, and 2%, 5% FICO to coconut oil is how that thing looks like. It infuses and keeps it raw to start with, which is pretty darn cool. And so that's all stuff I'm learning, and it's like, oh man, there's tools out there that you can use, and innovation's going like crazy. One of the ones I've seen again, gosh, I'm not sure if it was on the Fire is Fire show, but they got the cat who's making it's like a quick wash checker, where you can put so many grams into a jar, and you put this thing on top, and it's going to like steel, and you screw it on, and it's got your different screens in it, little small size, and you can figure out what your take is going to be on a quick wash. So winter, we just hit winter hard. Actually dropped down, and people talking about temperatures in chat here on the main channel, and we were rolling in the 50s, and we had a couple of stores, but all of a sudden, boom, it dropped down. It was 20 most of the night, and I'm streaming it's not working here on the Future Cannabis. Okay, hey, Loyalty, thank you. No, this is, so I've got this new, let me see if I can fix this. You know, yeah, I've got a problem here with the camera integration from the two. So I'm going to shut off the recording, and I'm going to go on to, I'm going to go back in here. Yeah, no, thanks, guys. It's kind of nice having the double play here to know what the fuck's going on. Let me just go exit or stop, exit. All right, go live. There we are. Hey, folks in chat. Okay, we got it now. Sorry about that. I thought I had that rigged and dialed, and apparently I have a bug error still. So people on my home channel, they were watching and cued me in that I had major error occurring. Thought I had an awesome intro and all this shit. Appreciate your loyalty and whoever else was chiming up there. Cool. So that might change everything up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, let's see. I think I can. No, I won't be able to do any of that. So what can we do? Well, I'll repeat what I was telling the folks at home that y'all missed, and I apologize for the 15-minute delay. End of the year review. And so I was talking about how I learned stuff and how far ahead I am this year from where I was before with technology to do all these live streaming and things I didn't have and stuff. And yeah, you know, I thought I'd scheduled the time at 8 o'clock. Epic. 7:15 for me here. Yeah. So continue learning, right? Was it a big mistake? Did anyone get hurt? No. I learned another lesson. I got some bugs I need to figure out, right? And that's how, just like I got to be pro skier and whatnot, was pushing the potato around and figuring things out. And I thought I had this really cool digitized cartoon video for you guys to watch me instead of my plain old ugly mug and fuzzy beard. But a year ago, I didn't have both of the instruments that I'm streaming on right now. And something else that happened in the year for me is huge was, one day I was talking to Peter, and I don't remember exactly what it was, whether about an upcoming show we were going to do or working together, but one of the things we were talking about though was like, I was going, hey man, I want to do my own channel and I need to learn all this stuff. I got a whole bunch of other things to teach besides cannabis, and I've got all this digital art I need to learn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I couldn't do it on the old computer I had. It's like a Windows 7, right? And so, boom, I finally was able to team it up with Peter, or I wouldn't be able to teach. The seeds would all be put away. So gratitude to Peter, thank you. I was in pretty good shape, recovering my physical strength and body and mind last year, but one day I said to Pete, hey man, I got a ski date with my daughter. We're going up, and he's like, oh, jealous, lucky you. And he's in Hawaii. I'm not. Whatever. That's right now, and that's not then. But I ended up breaking my hip that night. Had no clue, really, that I broke. I think I did immediately. I knew I broke it, but like I just put it out of my head and kept going. My grandma died from a broken hip, right? But here it is a year later, and I don't even notice it no more. I never went to the doctor. No access. It is what it is. But I couldn't sit and do a show before. I couldn't sit and work on the computer. I couldn't even type when I broke my hip, right? For months and months, and it was probably 6 or 7 months before I was able to sit down and actually do anything in the computer. Lots of yoga, lots of stretching, lots of spending time doing research, trying to figure it out, and a shit ton of pain. Holy cow. So, and part of that is using cannabis to really slow the mind and figure it out and move through those. People at home heard this, and last week I said I was going to review where we were at last week into the show. I was just I talked through how over the years, and I went in this acceleration and understanding and knowledge of how to make solventless of all sorts and extracts, and we got to where I was showing off those I'm gonna call them cabochons. You can the light was passing through those discs, 4 millimeters of temple ball melted out, right? And that all came from, like, it was full melt, the whole bag, top to bottom, from 180 down to 25 microns, 8 bags. And the only way I can explain this is learning all this stuff from all these different people. First thing learning from Duchess was that, and I picked up from the Duchess from watching the Eagles garden show, right? And he's on a little hiatus right now, trying to deal with some stuff. But I found Duchess there, and I started paying attention to what she had to say, and I heard her say, "Get good bags," and I realized my bags are shit. I bought cheap bags when I first started, more than Cheddar Bob. And so what was the next thing? And so learning from Bird, listen to Mr. Bird. There's a few things I picked up from him, but one of the he was looking at his temple ball full melt in the jar. It was just like blah 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 goopy in the jar. I'm like, okay, that's the next fucking level I need to get to with this washing. And he's doing the fresh frozen. And so I went ahead, and third thing, boom, you gotta have the proper genetics, right? Okay. And so I've understood this just like all along, and rolling the same thing that I can get that excellent dry sift is not the same thing as I'm getting the excellent wash from, right? And so taking those polyhybrids and crossing them up to my Breath of Red Dragon, and I want to start out today and showing Instagram to y'all these posts. My first one back, one of the messages is somebody somebody exclaiming that he just did a pheno hunt of a dragon and 7 females, 4 keepers, and the best he's grown in 18 years. And take that on multiple levels. It's the genetics, and he's learning how to grow better. But there's all of that stuff comes up to play, and washing out those are a little bit different, and definitely that red dragon wash is different than the green dragon wash is different, or sifs, right? And or chirasas, etc. And so those make a huge difference. But something I've come to realize here, and I think it was Todd was his name, if I got it right. And I said last week, I keep names fucking up, but the dude's in Cali and was showing off his sick ass washroom, and something he was. People were asking about dry ice, and I ran dry ice once. I'm like, yeah, that's lame. And I'd already heard people complain about it, but I had to run it just to see what the difference was, right? And so I did it, and it's like, yeah. And I deduced that like dry ice literally is doing critical extraction and pulling resin out of your freaking trichoma and stuff and injected it into that micro dust that it creates, right? And that reabsorbs that stuff and takes it back out of gaseous solution and brings it down through the screen with it. And so you can't separate that shit out. It all becomes one blob, right? But that's incense. It's not really high quality, in my opinion. But washing it, what I heard Todd say, and he said he was talking about that, was why it's all white like that. It's because it's full of stalks, right? And so it gets so cold and so dry with that it breaks the stalks off. And the stalk is just as much corruption, in my opinion now, and belief and understanding for going for that high super quality full melt. If you want, you're not going to press it, and you're just going for that super quality hash and not the rosin, right? So you can press that stuff in a rosin, and I haven't got into that game yet, but I'll bet it's just kind of the same thing. It's a lower quality when you're finished because it's got the waxes and stuff, and they're coming out. But you can have that stuff in what looks like a super clean sift or wash, and if you got a high quantity of those stocks, they're just not. It doesn't like to press well, and it can almost go not really full bubble. It'll melt, it'll go soft, and maybe go to light. But so really cold here, and I'm loving the temps, but it got way too cold, and it's great for washing and stuff. So with that thing that I picked up though, and all that comes together with coming out with that full melt from the top to bottom, 180 down to 25, is that having the proper stock and ripe head, right? And you're using your scope and your lenses to look at your heads and see when they're ripe and ready to drop off, and it absences off of the head there, right? So I'm working towards, once I get this shit figured out, and I know where I know where my flaw was. It gave me an error. I think I got it figured out, and I didn't catch it when I got an auto connection. Anyhow, instead of doing this, I'll be able to draw a little picture or show you a picture of it. And so when you can see those trichoma and they know they're going to break off, and you put that fresh frozen into cold water, and it all kind of relaxes, and that water pressure. And I learned, so you don't want the trichomes. I learned from time, but that water pressure and the temperature, I learned from Frenchie, right? And so all this stuff, pick it all up, and then in your system, you're gonna push potatoes around and see what's working, and find that little niche spot that works in your production systems, right? So this is my own show, Master Grow. It's not, man, business is business, and like, this is funny. Like, I'd be out of business if Peter hadn't reached out, and I try to explain. And so I got somebody in the chat over here telling me I do have my own show, and this is what he doesn't understand is I wouldn't be able to be here without Peter giving me a hand up, because he was able to pass on seeds for me that I can't do on my own. I had 1,200 followers when I met Peter on Instagram, and now I'm about to hit 5,000. All right. So Master Grow, I don't know, you're angry about something that you don't understand, but Peter's got this platform and he brought me onto it. And my understanding of how things work is the way you lift yourself up is by bringing people with you. And so, yeah, Peter's doing great, and that's good for him. He's got a whole lot of people he's helping out, and that's how you get yourself ahead, right? And so I'm helping people out by producing all these seeds that I do a shit ton of work for, and it doesn't actually pay me anything in the short run. It's really hard for me, right? And part of this year, you didn't see me here for a minute because I was busy working. I don't have the money to pay my daughter's mother any support, and so I had to go, and I have the skills. My body can barely do it, but I went and ripped apart her carport garage and sheds and re-roofed the whole thing, you know, as winter was setting in. Okay. And so I have multiple skills and understandings, and but a comparison here, you know, fine art. I make these oil paintings. Here's a couple of cool ones, right? This is outside a little gold mining town in Prairie, Montana, where my best friend in the world, Zach Park, lives. And someday I hope I'll be able to get up there and show you guys his greenhouses and gardens. And here's another one. This is the mitochondria spore form. This is painted on glass, right? Okay. So oil painting, and this talks about the interconnectivity of all things, and the space and the earth and life, and right, there's so much going on. And then this painting also in the fine print, you can't see it unless, I don't even know if I can get up close in there. And as above, so below is all over my frame here. Okay. And it's etched in under the gold leaf and pressed into there. Right. And here you can barely see, this is my signature under the gold, right? And it's literally a cowboy welder, blacksmith made my signature. Another fella who put my invention out. This is great. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I've never showed you guys this stuff here, but there's my signature again. It's a registered trademark. Okay, that's not me in the graphic. They use stock graphic, but this is an invention of mine that's manufactured in a China factory, right? And by another corporation, and that particular item was produced during the year the economy collapsed, right? I utilized the law of attraction. I actually wrote myself a check from the corporate CEO, utilizing that whole process. And I sent out letters and did this with like 10 different. Hey, Peter, thanks for hyping in. How you doing, buddy? I'm explaining how this all works. Peter did a lot of work to get Future Canvas Project in 02 going, and I'm happy. Like, we started this one out. There was only 200 followers when I first saw this channel. And so here we are with, you know, I'm talking about my backpack easel thing, and it was the economy collapsed, the world economy collapsed. And the CEO calls me up from this corporation that's one of the largest art supply manufacturers in the world, and definitely in the United States distribution, and says, Alex, we want to produce your product. And we did a non-disclosure agreement and all this stuff, right? And it ended up going through prototypes and everything, and they sold, and we discussed having patents and things, right? And I've discussed this with Patrick King about we're talking about the silicone brush thing, right? And they spend a lot of money to patent that thing, right? The price is expensive. They're easy to get and make. You know, same thing with this. Patenting your stuff is expensive, and we decided the cost of it being patented, people would rip it off, so we never patented, right? But they made a run of them. It sold out eventually. The cost of production was $9 a pop, plus the $1 I got for every one they made, right? So I didn't sell them. I could have sold them. I wanted a residual, and we ended up not having long-term residual product. I thought we were going to sell 1 million of them, and I'd have $1 million. It never happened that way, right? But I was able to show up in the middle of fucking nowhere at an oil painting competition once in my life, and have a couple who said, "You're Alex? Thank you so much. You changed our lives. We bought several of them, blah, 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 blah." And because I was able to do this, and great art is now produced for them, right? But I only got $1 for every one, and they sold for 26. Okay, so talk about real perspective, and that's not unrealistic. I have cousins and uncles that were inventors, and depending on how I could have sold it right off for 20 grand and taken the money and run, and they would have used my name, and that's it. And right, so with fine art itself, I got to do all the production, I got to do the framing, I got to do a whole lot of stuff, and they take 60%, 70%. Okay. But what else happens? The very first time I put an oil painting in a gallery on Main Street in Park City, my price went from $950 to $1,800 for that same price piece. Right. And then they discount it down and sell it for 16, and I end up getting way more than I could selling it myself. So if you don't really understand how business works and how interaction and community works, like, you might perceive that someone's being taken advantage of when they enter into a willing agreement. You know, I had another deal that I've done where I joined into, and my entire family, who are all millionaires and multimillionaires, up to one percenters even, they all like, dude, best thing you ever done in your life is to take on this. And it was an internet marketing program and sales, right? And they all make money in sales. Bam, right? You can make money in sales yourself really simply. And I'm looking, I haven't got it all set up yet. There's a lot of stuff I've been learning. That's part of what Future Cannabis missed when I messed up on the feed, was that I've been learning so freaking much about digital art and this live stream broadcasting and how to produce video myself, right? Which Peter went to college for, actually. Right. Okay. And like, so I'm teaching myself all this stuff. It's a lot of work to learn it all. And I couldn't do it if it wasn't for Peter reaching his hand out and lifting me up. Okay. And so I decided, playing up, I'm like, I could do this live stream, and people at home heard me saying how I'm going to continue doing this live stream with OBS right here through Future Cannabis Project, and then rebroadcasting it instead of simulcasting it through my home channel. Right. And I debated, and I have morals and stuff. And I would not have the following I have. I would not be building that channel right now. I would be building the 3 other channels that I'm building at the same time if Peter hadn't reached out. And it would be a dick move for me to turn around and say, no, I'm going to rebroadcast and try and force people to come over and watch me live over there, when it's just, that's not my idea of karma being proper. Okay. And so, like, I don't have much trust for a whole lot of people in the world. I've been dicked over in business left and right, and I was literally kind of in a desperate situation when he reached out to me. And no, he hasn't screwed me over yet. He's a busy man, and definitely there's I have opinions on how business should be run, but here we are, hitting over 6,000 people on the Future Cannabis Project too. We had 4,000 for 6 months, but it's starting to really grow again. And there's more content coming on, more people getting to talk and whatnot. And you know, Peter provides a platform, and we can do with it what we please, right? And I'm using it as a stepping stone, definitely. It's an incubator for me, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you. Anyhow, it was, you know, I couldn't, there's so many people I can never reach. Teaching about the land race, I have people coming to me asking about medicine and stuff, right? And I have this completely different perspective and experience that nobody else has. And trying to just start my own channel from scratch is it's tough. You have to have, which I already do. I have well over 100 videos on my channel, right? But they're like, again, I couldn't learn how to get to where I'm at now with being able to know how to build the videos and how to edit videos and all the shit that I've learned since using my GoPro. And I still don't know how to do it right. But I'm not giving up, and I'm going to get there, because that's how you make things happen, is you visualize it and you repeat it and you make a goal and you set your goal. And that's what success is continuously moving towards your goal. Right. And here I am again at the end of the year, feeling despair, because like they raised the price of, people talking about skiing earlier, I raised the price of going skiing $1,000 a year because too many people want to ski and you can't get up the canyon on the snow day. And so they started charging $25 for parking, even for those of us who don't go to the resort and we have to hike. No, you can't park anywhere in the entire town of Alta. And it's like, it's devastating. Like I can't even go up and hike to ski right now. I would love to, but you know, I probably wouldn't have my house right now if Peter hadn't helped me out. Okay. So there's this whole, either that or I would have to get some crazy labor job and with a broken hip and not being able to recover, not knowing my hip was broken, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But sitting back and thinking about my whole year in review and how I was going to like, oh, I'm just going to roll through the Instagram, and that didn't happen here. So it's literally a year ago, I was hitting some great pinnacles and making dry sift cash, right? Cannabis medicine healed me to the point where I was skiing pretty aggressively with my kid and like wasn't afraid to go rip up in some big mountain again until I broke my fucking hip. But you know, and even how did I break my hip? That's the whole thing, is you keep moving forward, right? And literally, this is funny. It was skiing with my daughter, and she's saying, Dad, I want to learn how to do terrain park. Okay. And we kept going through, and there's steel pipes that I can slide on wood, I can slide on ice, I can slide on plastic, but the steel, I've never freaking got that equation down. And I'd given it up years before. I dropped down through the trees and I see my daughter off to the side going through the beginner park, and I see her approaching that feature, which is just a low steel pipe laid into the snow, 6 inches sticking up, and like an 18-inch diameter. And so I see her hit it, and I didn't. My mind thought I did. I was skiing, and I look over, and she's past it. And so I'm like, all right, she did it. I'm going to do it because, you know, I got to be a dad to look up to, and et cetera. And she's going to learn the shit. I need to learn it too and show her how we learn these things. And I jump on that steel right on the fucking ball of my hip. And I stood up and caught up to her. She told me she did. I'm like, fuck, well, I think I just broke my hip. It's like the temperature was dropping. And so we split. And, but I didn't hike all summer. I didn't, et cetera. So there's definitely reasons for me to think to myself, fuck, life sucks. I haven't had a paycheck in so long, and I haven't but I got done so much fucking work. I was just looking through trying to find some Hindu Kush seeds, and it's like I had multiple stages where I had 18 and 22 projects working at one given time. So I probably was able to run through well over 30 projects this summer and produce. I probably got 75 or more breeding directions new, right? All I'm both new projects and old projects, right? That I'm working through. There's let's see if I can get this in both of them at the same time. Hey Peter, this is I picked this up for you for shipping, but the shipping's probably more than just picking one up is going to be. We've traveled around the world multiple times with land race discussions, and we've been talking with people in different parts of the world, right, about all sorts of amazing things, right? Oh boy, wish the cameras, there's just not enough light in here to really see it all. You know, we got here's the equator though. It's pretty cool talking with like Azarian about figuring out where origins of, like, I have so much more knowledge about. Excellent. You didn't even get one too. Great. This one I figured out. You can figure out when they're made. There's no date on your globe, but if you go through and you study the countries, and you can figure out what year your globe was made by the names of all the countries on it. It's kind of neat, and like a dichotomous key. Yeah, we've had some amazing discussions this year about communication, right? Word usage and appropriate word usage That's man. I never hard zaps over here on this chat saying spin the globe and where your finger lands. You have to travel to. That's some great stuff. Check out my home channel. I have flat Earth proofs or spoofs where I show how water works, and that's all. This is probably an old high school globe, yeah. But that hydrogen bond, you gotta love it. What are some cool things? I'm almost back around. So I got digital art figured out this year, or pretty close to it, right? And I'm so far more advanced. And yeah, I haven't seen that stuff yet, but pretty soon we're gonna start putting out some T-shirts and posters and various other edits and utilizations of these new apps. But it's a whole big picture, right? Wrapping your head around it. It was 4 years ago when I decided that, like, man, people just don't buy oil paintings the way they used to, and I need to start digitizing and moving into this whole other space, right? And I can sit at the bar and tell these stories, and how many people I'm talking to? 6, and 2 of them ain't listening, right? And so all of this is progression to me. Here's a neat one. Anyone got an idea? This was given to me, I want to say early 90s. A brother of mine traveled down to Machu Picchu and bought this down in South America. And I don't remember exactly, but it's alpaca. And it took me up until just this year to realize what this purple dye is. Anyone care to venture to guess? South American vine, purple dye. Right? I've been wearing DMT my whole freaking past 35 years. I'd like to get back to traveling. Yeah, that's so and it's hard to do when you're doing all this breeding work and everything. The hat matches. I thought it was going to be a cartoon character today, and it was going to be a much better match and all. But dollar store, really nice dollar store purchase for the purple hat for sure. Been a while since I've done any traveling, actually, since my daughter was born. Besides just taking my daughter to California and whatnot, and now she's almost 18. It's definitely time for me to get the heck back out here. But you know, deriving an income and stuff, and here I couldn't do. It's weird because all my finance gets. I'm house poor, but I'm also house rich. I couldn't do what I do without the house, but the house ties you down, right? There's that balance, and so you have these freedom is nothing left to lose. Yeah, you know, I got $1,000 sweater on. You're telling me, Steven Schwinn over here in this chat just says alpaca sweaters are $1,000 now, and it's like, yeah, here we go. I have another one that my other brother had that he threw out and started fraying, and it became a work sweater for the deep winter. WPFF. What? I don't know WPFF. So I'm going to start doing reviews, strain reviews and stuff on the shows here and going through. And that was, one of the things I was hoping to be able to do today was go on Daga and show, but I didn't do it there. Here's a neat one though that we're talking about. Yeah, and so being asked here to give recommendations on genetics, and it's like I can't do that in real time. I don't know where you're at, what your weather is, what you're going, all those things. So that's stuff to email me or hit me up in a chat somewhere besides the live chat and all, but. Something I wanted to do today was something I learned or we've been talking about. It's the power of suggestion. All right. Keep your eyes on the watch. You all are getting very sleepy. Your eyes are getting heavy. Your eyelids are feeling like bricks. They're not going to close. But you will pass into a very suggestive state when I count backwards from 3. Your eyelids are almost closed. You're feeling so relaxed. 2, 1. Go by seed to Daga. Snap out of it. All right. So now, just had to throw that in there today. Strain reviews this year. Big thing I was able to do was pull off, and I was kind of touching on that with my little hash review. Temperature of your water, proper strains, you're massaging those heads off. You're not beating them off, right? I found something that Frenchie talks about, like shaking the fruit, right? And you touch the tree and it falls off, right? And you want it to all be that way. That's how. And so when you do it right with this fresh frozen, they do that. And you don't have to beat the heads off of the trichome stalk. And because when you're doing it that much, you're knocking that stalk off too. Okay, so you want that long stalk. You want the nice fat head. And something bonus I found that came out of these Breath of Red Dragon back crosses, or crosses, FF1 feminized crosses. I'm sorry. I was definitely primarily going for open flower structure. Somebody was asking in chat a couple weeks ago about red hots, and if it's going to be, you're going to pheno hunt that one, and you're going to find some that are open and some that are more dense. You're going to find that VPD will definitely affect, right? So outdoors in a very dry environment, it's going to have a smaller fluorescence. It'll be tighter, or relatively tighter than indoors. So the same structure indoor and the proper VPD is going to have a bigger, all the calyx is going to be like juicy or lush, I think is a good term to use. Creating microclimates even outdoors is a major, something I would love teaching is using like bug nets and frost netting, right? Outdoors, if you're in a drier zone or if you have extremes of temperature, you can control that VPD and enhance your environment just like exponentially. And to talk to exactly that, when I used to sell vegetables, the chefs would just trip out like, dude, you have like the most lush greens or the most lush broccoli or whatever it was. And they usually use that term lush. And how do you do it? And the only thing I could answer was the poly microfiber spun cloth, right? And so those things have all sorts of benefits. So utilizing that, if you're in some place that has less perfect conditions, can really help get you that. But getting to that, and you've got that stock, you've got that lush plant, you've got, and even the stuff that might be in a less optimum environment. I'm found that I have these much better trichome structure on all the plants that I cross it to. So like with the gelato, where it barely has, you have to really beat it hard because it's got no stalk at all. It's just got a head on the nubbin, right? It elongated the nubbin, and you got a stalk with a head on the end of it, right? And then with the slurry cane, making them red hot, and it's red and candy. So Red Hots is how I got that. It doesn't taste like Red Hots. It's not spicy, but that just was coming up with candy names and things like that, and the Red Dragon. So, but it's definitely a red hot hash plant, and so with Slurry Cane 7, there's stalk and no head, or you get these little teeny little nubbins off the top of it, right? That don't ever break off, and so you got to break those stalks off and press out all that wax to get a rosin from it. So now with the FF1 hybridization I did, it's got a nice big bulb on the end, and nice head. Exactly. Hyphea Huntress over here on chat. Long stock is we're getting all sorts of adult chat going on, referencing my sexy flowers. Oh my, virgin eyes. Just kidding, folks. Hey, anyone in chat, is there anything coming on after me? I might run a little long, being that I started 15 minutes late there. No Jesuits today. Hey, I am a Jesuit. People, what's funny is everyone's so misconstrued. Somebody the other day is like, you're worshiping idols. Like, Knowledge is an idol. Anyhow, so cane's great. Yeah, no, there's all sorts of different great too, right? I've never had anything that I've had 150 that washed out or sifted out to full melt, but 180, right? And I got the 220. So something else I'm doing that I haven't mentioned, and I'm when I go to teach ice cream tech, I'm using a wire mesh pasta strainer to scoop the water clean before I dump it through my bags, reducing 99.9% of all the vegetative matter in there, right? And so my 220 work bag doesn't grind anything down hardly. It barely gets any little I can run 4 pounds through 30 gallons, and I'm gonna have a handful at the end in the 220 bag, and so that's keeping a lot of work through too. Yeah, so that's what you're saying. 120 is food grade, and usually you're right. Yeah, you're right. And if you didn't see last week me pulling out the 150, that was all it. It actually freaking stuck, froze together into a lump in the freezer. No, not because it was holding moisture, but because that's how resinous the 180 was. And I without having, you can't see it in here when I go like that. But it literally bubbled. It didn't catch on fire when I gave it a flame test. It melted like water next to flame. And so there's so many factors going into this, as I explained earlier. You've got this. I'm not using a freeze dryer. I'm someone's asking, but the stocks, right? There's so much freaking stocks in between a 150 and a 90. That's where most of that bulk comes from quite often. It's just the stocks in there. And man, I need a freaking, I'm sorry, I've got evil people on my fucking home channel now. I got to get rid of here. Sorry. How the fuck do I do that? I don't even know how to. I need to make somebody a monitor on my home. Don't ever. If you see those Vun rent things, don't ever click on that shit. That's a bot that will steal your freaking hide user. All right. Yeah. I don't know if you. So there's that's something that'll like steal all your accounts and stuff. Don't ever click on that shit. And yeah, I need to get some help there. So right now, so hard today. All these different sizes have different things together, or, do different things, and so usually different runs are going to have a different size that's going to do better for whatever it is you're trying to find. If you're looking for that melt, if you're looking to press, or if you're just looking to make bricks of incense, right? So those, I appreciate it, loyalty. I'll again, I'm going to put this on where it's not even live feeds. I'm definitely going to look for some help here as I grow. So we've got what I'm trying to say here is these new strains, and I washed like 4 of them together. I can't tell you which one is which yet. I need to do more R&D. I only ran them just so I could show people what they were. I wasn't planning on keeping them around. I got too much stuff. I can't keep it all going. I'm not doing any production anymore, right? I got to do my own testing. I don't have a testing system. I have trust issues, right? All sorts of shit, right? And a lot of the stuff is like, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't going to make the world better. Or like this whole reversal of the Breath of Red Dragon into the elites. I wouldn't have done it. Actually, I was contemplating it, and I saw Soma talking to James Loud, and he had the same trepidations, and then he found out, I was like, man, people were really digging this, and there's a reason why. When we take our old genetics, the really work. Like I said, somebody just random and says the best thing they've grown in 18 years, and they found 4 keepers out of the 13 pack, right? Or he said 7 females he kept. He might have had 2 packs. I don't know. So taking that reversal and putting it back in, and definitely was looking for certain attributes to enhance. And for instance, they like the slur, the rainbow sherbet 2, right? It hardly produces a fucking thing, and it bud rots. But everyone that I know that's growing is like, dude, you're growing the bed, and I'm like, man, this sucks. There's nothing there. and of course, yes, various different conditions, it's going to produce differently, right? So I haven't grown it in an indoor production, high intensity horticultural system at all, and perhaps in the perfect VPD in the coast or whatever, it does a different thing. The point I'm trying to make here is these things all came out pretty damn good, and I've never seen dry or wet sift where I have that clean. There's two factors: is big ass fucking swollen heads, big ass heads, man, and so that's a huge one. And I literally just washed a board trim run last night, and it has 150. That's all. I couldn't touch it. Usually it's, it's got enough green matter in it. I can push it aside, and I'm going to dry it out and rewash it, or put it to edibles, like you said, right? Can't touch it because even in the cold room, it's sticking to my fingers. It's got that larger head size, right? And so it increased the head size on a whole bunch of these hybrids, and I ended up getting. Well, I mean, you saw again, complete cold melt cabochons going down to the translucent. Light passes through them, and on the second wash of my 150 to 90, right? And so I showed those on last week, and I thought I did a better job of really showing the translucence of it. There's so much terpene in it, and there's so much oil in it that those things just. And I rolled at the ball just using hand temperature, right? But today here I did a ball of the red dragon that literally is same kind of thing. And I did one of the first times where I used parchment and didn't touch it with my hands at all, but I just used room temperature and my hand to press it. Okay, I didn't use any heat whatsoever, no hot water or whatever. And it's down right now, flattening out on its own cold melt, relaxing, however you want to call it. But again, I've never had anything dry or wet, and I perfected over 30 years perfecting that dry sift to get some pretty creme de creme. And I was talking about last week how I'm going to take it to the next level. There is a next level that I can get past where I pull the stalks out and get rid of anything else. But it's really hard to beat that virgin dry trim run, though, on the silver screen. So yeah, so many head sizes and shapes out there. It makes a huge freaking difference. And again, I on this one, the 25 is usually like clay, right? And someone's talking in the chat, they're bringing in whether the 25 is any good or not. And I ended up getting, it was just mind boggling. I'm looking at it like it's clean, and so all this cleanliness occurs as well when you freeze it, right? So I fresh froze the entire bottoms of those plants and just kept the tops and for smoking purposes and whatnot. But the 25 was full bubble. It didn't light on fire. It bubbled, and it was just like, this can't be real, but it was. And so Ruderella skunk, man. Yeah, I'm terrible with names, Claude. Thank you for it came from Sensi, and I got somebody over here doing fact check on my strain descriptions, and thank you. Yeah, you're right, and I make mistakes, and I'm not one to say anything but thank you for pointing it out. I need to fix that. That's something that's kind of I get some confusion on what I'm talking to as on different things, names, persons' names. Fuck me up. I say I have a 98% photographic memory, and that 2% is generally people's names that screw me over, and I don't know, just a weird hardwiring. So yeah, thanks again, Claude. That came from Cincy, and it's Sam's skunk, number one, and probably Neville that did that. It's a good plant, but I did that reversal on it. It wasn't as a fast flower. It definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't taking out the 4th generation at all. None of that stuff. None of the ones that I actually only had 2 seeds pop out of 2 packs from Sensi seeds on those ones for whatever it's worth. That's the reality of that seed origin. Anyhow, we were talking to. Oh no, man. Yeah, it's too. Man, taking offense. People, I do. We struggle with it all the time, and I try and pass on to other people. Like, man, it's human being. I'm not a god or anything, right? Like if I didn't keep the good outlook and keep these attitudes that I talk about utilizing and how we move forward and stuff, I would have shriveled up and died from pain. I would have been living on the street in the gutter. Just like if I didn't keep a smile on my face and just keep going. And yeah, I get triggered. Like I said, I'm a human and I do my best to. One of the first exercises I did was starting like deleting 99% of my comments in social media. Write it and delete it. Right? Write it and delete it. That's a huge one. And then I got to where it's like go back through and remove anything that might be offensive and reword that kind of stuff. Anyhow, yeah, no, a nice little aside from the chat again. So we're talking about head sizes and stuff and how it's like there's multiple factors going into this wash being like the best thing that I've ever fucking done. And just like going, okay, well, there's no point in doing anything else. And I'm literally looking at biomass and I'm just going to compost at this point because I don't want to BHO it. And I've got enough FECO to last God knows how long for however many patients at the rate I'm getting them. I was doing FECO though, where I'd take a gallon of polar solvent and pour it over, soak it for 24 hours on a pound. And then remove that and rinse it through with some more and then do like 3 more quick pounds with that same extractive solvent. Like I was saying, now it's like, oh, I get one of those little machines that just like so quick and easy, and 3 hours later it's infused and I've got it dialed in for a patient. It's like there's no point in making that stuff anymore. So that's a huge. Then that's something the guy is asking me, and I'm sorry I'm jumping all over the place. I had a total program today, and I'm just feeling it. Do we have any show on right now? We don't have anything following up behind me here. I'm just going to keep rambling on Future Canvas Project for a minute here, and talking about that particular that wash was just a year in, and I'm constantly I've been learning. Cool, thanks, Peter. Learning and solving the equation, looking for the variables and finding what the variables are, and moving over here, moving over there, and finding, okay, well, if I do this, how's it going to be? That didn't make it better. That made it worse, right? So we've got, and so I have to look at all the different factors that went into this being the best washes or hash runs I've ever done in my life, and I can't that trichome size, the 180 being there is huge, right? So. But as well as small. And so breaking it apart into each variety is going to be huge to figure those ones out. And that's something somebody can do for their production model, right? And support. It's not that expensive, $80 to get the seeds, and you've got this potential to do this, right? So, but it's that trichome size is going to be part of it on some of them, and then but that fresh frozen wash. The other thing is utilizing my ice cream tech that I've come up with, where it's really a fairly gentle, and again, learning all this technology I'm going to be able to present this here as well as a packaged video and show all the different concepts to the ice cream tech. There's utilizing the machine itself. But a lot of us don't live where it gets cold enough to work in the cold. And Yeah, there's lines per. Someone's saying mesh size, not microns. There's lines per inch and there's micron size mesh. So there's two different kinds of mesh, and so there's which it can get confusing when you go to buy a raw screen and things like that. Someone, oh shucks, I need to not look at chat sometimes. Ice cream tech, yes. So utilizing that machine, and the next step of it is I came up with. I was like, man, I think I can turn this into dry sift machine too. But that low torque machine turning that and stirring your tank of water is a large portion of what ice cream tech is. And if I had the OBS going, boom, I could play a video for it now. And so we're getting there. And the I've got it working in a large container, but I think I need to make some other adaptations to really get the large container to work proper. So the ice and salt is the other part. Someone's asking in chat here, and you don't want ice and you don't want salt in your wash, but chamber around the hash water. Magma Seeds is thinking over here in chat out loud. Yes, and so one of my, I went through several iterations where I was literally using the machine to turn a steel 10-gallon pot inside of a 32-gallon tank full of ice water and salt. Right, and then that's sitting inside another 32-gallon. Okay, you hear what I'm saying here? So in the warmth, you can insulate your shit. You can fill that with a foam even, right? And then, you can drain if you want to drain, but it's pretty easy to get a big stainless steel pot with a handle and scoop the stuff out. And you don't have to use gravity to drain. So yeah, no, I actually, eventually I was talking to Peter months ago, but there's so much going on, so overwhelmed, and it's like it'd be really swell to see if we can't commercialize this concept. And but it's this much R&D just to get the concept out to the grassroots and see where you take it, because there's so many possibilities with it. And how again, the utilizing the machine to rotate the entire cylinder, that was my first. And then there's ways you can make it work. Right. And I did make it work, and I made some beautiful washes that way. But then well, and you can, so like, I don't even have a work bag in the system. I take the water out and put it through the bags. Okay. So when you have a machine, when you're hand stirring, even you probably, some people work with the bag inside the machine there. But what I've figured is that the machine's going to grab your bag, right? And Frenchie will tell you some people put them inside your washing machine and inside of a bag, but the water can't hit the trichroma to knock it off, right? And then you don't want to like tear your bag. Okay, so you can alleviate even having a 32-gallon bag if the newest thing I've set up is it's all gravity fed. Right, and I could probably find a clean pump, the food grade pump, to pump the water out of 32-gallon with everything and run it through. But I'm using beer making technology, the little drain valve, right? And so I got 2 or 3 bags in each one, and I just feed the top one after I've strained out all of the vegetative material from the main tank, right? Utilizing the hand strainer takes no longer than lifting the freaking bag out, right? And juggling all that water out. But you still have, once you've done that, there's so much caught up in that vegetative material that doesn't make it through the bag. You've lost a shit ton right there, right? And so when you alleviate that barrier of having all of that residual vegetative matter working in your work bag, 2 things are happening. One, it's preventing your wash from dropping out through the work bag. And the other thing that's happening is that it's breaking up and you're putting contaminant, whether it's stalks or vegetative matter pushing through. Okay. And so I have never heard anyone iterate any of what I've just said. These are things I've observed and come up with. And so you guys, you're getting like my thought process is how I've come to where, so literally using a pasta screw here. Let me grab it. I got it in my toolbox out here. Be right back. Right. And so there's bigger ones, stronger ones. but it doesn't take me very long to clean completely. And think about, so I grew up with a swimming pool, but it was my responsibility to keep the swimming pool clean, and we had massive trees up all around it. So literally 3-4 days a week, I was in there with the net doing that motion, right? And you can stir. I mean, I can see a whole entire industry product just producing your hash strainer, right? But dollar store, that's all it takes. And so I'm doing this in the 10 gallon. I'm doing this in the 32 gallon, right? So yeah, I don't use a bag in my work, and I think that was some of the problems with when I first started trying to do washes and have it inferior quality, was that I was trying to do the wash with the bag in there and have it all drop through. Now if you have very small quantities in a 5-gallon bucket or you have a 6.5 or 7-gallon bucket with a 5-gallon bag, right? And you're just hand stirring that, those are going to drop out underneath that, right? You need to have that hang space. Okay. So there's a lot of different approaches and things to how you do it, right? Someone's over here talking about filtering with an 8 and 10 micron and reclaiming soluble chirps. And there's lots of soluble chirps. There's a whole bunch of other things. One that I've told the world about. I've got another one that I haven't told anyone. I've never had it tested yet either, but I've got is taking that bubble water, and you can make kombucha with that and use that bubble water for your kombucha tea. All right, so you take that water and you give it a boil, and you throw in a bunch of sugar, and then you throw a SCOBY in with it, and you've got a highly medicinal. You do not want to drink very much of that stuff. It like changes your world. So there's definitely different ways of taking full use of that stuff. I'm using, like I said, I started setting up these gravity feed system, and it gravity feeds down into a large container, and then I siphon it out into my garden. Yeah, man, our house was over here. We have Hardy in a pool with a long pole, your favorite peep show. We had a lot of adults today. I was actually I skinny dipped every freaking day of my life growing up in that house. But you couldn't see it. We had a hedge of trees. Nobody could see. I grew up in a very blessed life. The house there, we could grow tomatoes all but 1 month of the year we had yeah, man, wild tonic. I have a comment saying this sounds like a wild tonic, and that kombucha stuff definitely is. So yeah, I don't know how to impress more upon folks though that I get some photos rolling here. I've been things get to the back burner. I have a shit ton of photos to send to Peter and get up on Daga showing some of these new genetics I produced. And anyhow, we're here coming right up into that hour long, and I had all sorts of fun stuff set up with music and live and that whatnot. End of year review. I hope you got the picture. I'm growing. I hope you are too. Right? And moving forward, upward, onward. Excelsior. Excelsior is you cannot fail. There is no failure, right? And commitment to excellence. Have it within yourself. Always do better for the greater glory of all that is, not just your own person, because you create a better world for yourself and all those around you when you do it for more than just yourself, right? And yeah, some people use the felt side and some people don't. Some people think you tap it first and some people don't. Ome Padme Adme Om, Ome Padme Adme Om. So making it sound so sweet. In the beginning, there was a sound. The sound was Oh, over in chat on the main here. Before I shut this down, we're right at just past an hour. It says, when growing wild at harvest times, this is from Elizabeth Mellenthan. At harvest time, cut off cola and buds on a branch. Take this bare branch, fold up, and twist up. The juice runs out. Let this dry. This gives a lot of instant hash. Dum-da-dum, stem hash. It's a thing. Peace out, folks. We'll catch you all next year.